right, looks like we're there. Hello, everybody. This is Danny again, back today for the second time online, but this time we're on Patreon. We got a few things we want to talk about. We look at y'all as being our elite group, the ones that we feel like are probably the most faithful right now, and I oh, I was supposed to say, I didn't type that in. You must have typed it in. Okay.
Is it showing you're alive?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't.
Are you having anything?
Nothing.
It says that I am.
Are you seeing yourself on YouTube?
Yeah.
Everything?
I see myself fine.
Okay,
Well,
so maybe I'm just lagging behind.
I don't know. There's a thing behind it here. Hold on just a minute. Let me check on something. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. As such, viewers will experience. It always says that. That's nothing. That's nothing new. Guys, hang on there. I'm gonna do this anyway.
Okay, it's working.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Okay, Wanda's sitting here talking to me in the background, telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but we're gonna make it happen. Okay, guys, see if I don't know if you can see. You see my hand? Y'all look at my hand. You see what my hand looks like? I have contacted something. You see that? Look at my hand. You know what? You know what that has happened? I have contacted the carrots disease. Yes, the carrots disease. Wanda and I worked in the garden for 3 hours this morning, and then we spent the next 7 hours cutting up carrots to go in jars. This is like day number, what, 10 of doing this. And my hands have just been in carrot water for the last 7 hours. So,
I've been there for 10 days.
Yeah, Wanda's looks worse than mine does. So, oh, Lord. Anyway, guys, there's a few things we want to talk about here today. First being this executive order that I've been reading up on. It is the executive order about price gouging and hoarding, it says, of medical supplies. Well, I want to read a few things. If you haven't read the bill, I want to read a few things that's in it. I want to talk about a couple of things there as to why I'm a little bit concerned. First, it says Trump is authorized under the Defense Act to prohibit hoarding of needed resources by designating them as scarce or threatened by people accumulating excessive amounts. Now, this was slipped into the price gouging and hoarding of medical supplies. But the statement that's actually been made here does not mention anything about medical supplies. It just simply says that the hoarding of needed resources. Now, and designating them as a source of or threatened by people accumulating excessive amounts of. Guys, this could be food. This could be canned food. They could actually step in and say that we're hoarding food if we have it in excessive amounts. Now, they haven't done that yet, but it's actually in the wording of it there, because the wording is just like a lot of the other bills that they do. It's so vague that it could be read in a lot of different ways. Now, that's a little bit scary to Wanda and me, because Wanda and I put up a good bit of food, because technically, I mean, literally, we don't buy anything from the store as far as food to eat. Now, we'd buy a few commodities that we can't, like salt or something like that. We can't make that ourselves. But anything else, we literally raise our own food, from meat all the way down through to vegetables and everything like that. And this was a little concerning to me to actually read this in this bill. But now that's not all. I want to read a little bit more here. It says, once specific materials have been designated, people will be prohibited from accumulating these items in excess. Now, right now, the HHS and the DOJ is working together to come up with a list of things that they classify as we don't need to have in excessive amounts of. Like, say, for instance, if you went online before all this happened and you ordered 100 N95 masks, well, according to this new bill, you might be classified as a criminal because now you're hoarding something that other people could be using, which makes you a hoarder. When really and truthfully, your freedom in this country should give you the right. If you wanted to have 1,000 of those masks and you're willing to pay for them, that should be your right to have that. I mean, that's my whole point behind all of this. If we work for something and we have the financial resources to be able to afford it, we should be able to have anything that we desire to have in any quantity that we desire to have it. If you want to go to the store and buy 25 cases of green beans for your family for the next year, you should have that right and it not be illegal. I mean, that's my personal opinion on it. I believe that that should be the way it is. And it's always been the way it has been in the past. But now we see with the TP run that we've seen, some people buying up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rolls of toilet paper. That's a little excessive, but you know what? Me personally, if it's your money, if you want to do that, that's fine with me because that just tells me over the next year you're not going to have to buy any more toilet paper. It's going to mean that the market's going to be open for somebody else to actually come in and purchase toilet paper if they want it. Because you won't be back buying anymore. You have no need to. You have plenty. And we're, like I've told y'all on previous videos, here in our town, we're seeing some shortages on meat. Walmart didn't have any meat. You know, the food giant didn't have any meat. I contacted the butcher. The butcher told me that when the truck comes in, there's people sitting there ready to buy the whole truck at one time. And they literally have to ration meat out. And they're backed up with animals to be butchered because people are freaking out, going ahead and having their animals butchered. When these farmers around us sell their cattle, people are buying a half of a beef at one time as fast as it comes on the market here. They're buying a whole half of beef and having it cut up and brought home and put in freezers. But you know what? That's just called good common sense in a lot of ways. Now, some things could be, like buying all the meat that come in the truck, that's excessive. You know, I mean, that is out of control. Because your family's not going to eat that much meat, and more than likely it'll go bad before you ever eat that much. But if you want to buy a half of a beef and you have the money, that should be your right to do that. You know, so according to this new executive order, if you decide to hoard things up, what they're called hoarding, and they happen to, or let's say your neighbor turns you in, and they tell you that so-and-so, they call the federal government and they say, so-and-so over here has X number of this, this, and this, then according to this bill, it could be a criminal act. You could spend up to 7 years in prison for hoarding and be fined on top of that. So, I mean, this bill is not in the best interest. There's so many hidden agendas in this bill that it's a little bit scary. But now you have to understand it comes underneath the Defense Act is how they brought it in, is under the Defense Act. In other words, we're having a national emergency right now. And because of the national emergency, we have this bill passed and it says you can't have so much of this and so much of that. And guys, if y'all have followed me for any length of time, you know that over the last 3 to 4 years, I've been telling y'all that this is coming. I've seen the writing on the wall, and look, this is not all of it. This is just literally the tip of the iceberg. This new stimulus package that they're talking about trying to pass, and what they've done, I want you to pay attention to the way they've done this. They came out and they said, every house in America is going to get, what it was, $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that. Every person in America gets $1,000 and $1,200. That, my friend, was not true. Maybe 40% of the American people are eligible for that. The guys, the bottom line is this. They told you that before they ever voted on the bill so that Americans that had been told to go home would be happy and would have hope and possibly keep down the anxiety, the rioting, all the problems that this country might face if they realize, hey, we're fixing to shut this country down for a couple of weeks here. And people would not freak out because they wasn't going to be able to pay their house note, their car notes, or child support, all these kind of things. So they came out and they told you something that wasn't true because they hadn't even voted on it yet. And they're sitting up there in the White House, not the White House, but in Congress right now, literally fighting over this thing for days. The Democrats and the Republicans are fighting back and forth because what I'm able to find out what's in this bill is so much pork is in this bill that it's literally, it's plumb scary. The Democrats are trying to push through the new Green Deal. And you've heard me talk about that here on Patreon. The new Green Deal, they're trying to get that pushed through in it, and lots of other issues that have literally nothing to do with the stimulus package. And don't be surprised if they come out and say that, well, we've got some problems here, and now only certain ones are going to be able to be eligible for this stimulus package. Because they can't quit fighting over what they want. It's not about the American people. It's about what they want to get pushed through for their agendas. Now, I want you to all understand, I told all of y'all here a while back to go and read up on and study up on through the ICPP and the United Nations Agenda 2030. There's like 164 points to it, 17 main points I think it is. And guys, everything that we're doing and facing right now is listed in all this. Event 201, if y'all are familiar with that, everything that we're going through right now was mentioned in Event 201 back in, what was it, November of 2019 with Bill Gates and them. All this stuff, guys, is coming together for the big plan. And the big plan is that we are to all be equal across the globe. There's not to be rich nations, poor nations, rich people, poor people. They want everybody to be equal across the globe. They want us to all have the same things, and there's no way possible that this can happen. They want to take from those who have and give to those who don't have, which is wrong, because if you're willing to work for what you have, you should be able to have it. It's yours. If you work for it, it's the American dream. You should not have to fight to keep what is yours. What's fixing to happen is taxation on everything that we own to the point that we're not going to be able to keep it. We'll have to sell off eventually in order to be able to maintain a lifestyle. That's why I've told everyone they have us, most of us. Now, one denies there might be an exception to the rule on some things. Everything we have that there's a note on is a tangible object that we'll look at them and say, hey, come get it. We don't care, you know. Because we paid for our house, we paid for our land, we paid for our greenhouse, we paid for everything we do, we pay in cash. And it's not because we're rich, it's because we save our money and we designate our money for different things. And we wait patiently till we can afford it. and we pay for it. Now, right now, I'm sitting out here. Uh, I'm looking at the greenhouse. The greenhouse was part of Wanda and I's future. I had a dream and a vision of this probably a year ago, and we started working on making this happen. I probably spent close to a year researching greenhouses and different companies, and finally was able to work with Grower Solutions, and they was able to work with us on behalf of our subscribers to help y'all to get a 10% discount on anything that you all wanted from Grower Solutions. I eventually cut that deal with them. I mean, when you buy something from them, I don't get nothing. I just cut this deal with them because of our YouTube channel to be able to bless our subscribers. And I talk to the heads of the company probably once or twice a week sometimes just to see how things are going. And they're really excited that working with Deep South Homestead has been a benefit to their company. And as a result, they don't mind giving a 10% discount because it's been a boost for their industry. And guys, this greenhouse, this is our future. Because I have a feeling that in the very near future, the plagues that have hit other countries, like the locusts that's hit Africa, is moving toward China and places like that, these plagues are going to finally make it to our country eventually. It's being said that they'll possibly come in on the East Coast when they come in, especially if they get caught up during hurricane season. They get caught up in some of these hurricanes and that stuff brings that stuff over here. It's quite possible we could see that happening in the very near future. And plus, if you're a Bible believing person, it could just be biblical. You know, I mean, there's things that's going to be happening in the very near future. Now that we have everybody in here, there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about that we haven't shared on YouTube or anywhere else. This is something personal with Wanda and I. We'll be a little bit transparent with you guys. We will eventually talk about it over on YouTube, but we want to give you guys the first shot at our innermost thoughts on a particular thing that's going on. Because of the Hoarding Act and stuff like this, Wanda and I we're being contacted by people who are saying they want to be able to come here and put a place up on our place and to be able to work and help us here because we're getting older and stuff like that. And Wanda and I have really done some soul searching on this. Because of the Chinese virus, I'm going to use that word, that's going around, and the simple fact that we just like our serenity here. We like our quietness. We like our peacefulness. Guys, Deep South Homestead is going to be shutting its gates. We're going to be closing our borders. We're going to be shutting down Deep South Homestead as far as people coming to visit. This is going to be a thing of the past. When our gates, we're already, as soon as we got some deliveries coming this week, as soon as those deliveries are over, our gates will be shut. It's not that we don't like our subscribers. We love our subscribers. It's just that we have certain ones now that are trying to impose upon us now. And Wanda and I can't, that's not the life that we live. That's not why we do YouTube. I'm not here to raise everybody else. I'm not here to provide for everybody else. I'm here to educate. I'm here to teach. I'm here to give advice. These are the things that Wanda and I, we've been transparent. We've shared our life probably more than anybody on YouTube has. We've been very generous as far as allowing people to come here. We've had many couples come and spend the night with us here in our home. We've had many people that's visited us. If you have visited us and you're in this chat, consider yourself very lucky. because from this point forward, there will be no more people coming to Deep South Homestead. Uh, we're not going to be doing the gatherings anymore. The one that we had this year, that was going to be one of the big announcements that I was going to make at the gathering, that this was the final gathering for us. Wanda and I have um, lots of physical issues. We are moving into a new era in this country as far as food supply is going, and Wanda and I are going to need as many man hours and as much of our physical health and our physical time as we can to be able to provide food for ourselves with the collapse that's coming. The one thing that everybody seems to be forgetting with COVID-19 or the Chinese virus is that it has taken everybody's attention off of the grand solar minimum. Literally, the Antarctic this year, or just yesterday or day before yesterday, had the coldest reading it's ever had. Guys, the cold weather is not going away. There is a parallel. They started off with the 45th parallel and then the 44th parallel. Now they're saying it's possibly in the near future going to be the 33rd parallel. Anything above that, it's going to be very difficult to grow enough food to keep yourself sustainable. I'm still holding to the 45th parallel or 44th, but the new information that's coming out says that it could possibly be the 33rd parallel. And if you know anything about numbers, you can study the number 33. I've mentioned this to you all before. The number 33 is an occult number. It's a very specific number. I do believe that it's going to play a very big part in the future of everything. So with the grand solar minimum, it didn't go away just because COVID-19 happened. The grand solar minimum is still on schedule. It is right on target. R.L. Baker says subscribe to Adapt 2030. I hope you're not talking to me because I know David personally, and David and I have done videos together. We have videos on his channel of me and him. Possibly you're talking to people in the chat, but me and Christian, we're friends from Ice Age Farmer. The different ones of us like this. Sasha Dobler from Sweden, the scientist over there, he's friends of ours. We have many friends in high places everywhere that we glean information from, we share information with, we talk to on a regular basis. Guys, we work with each other trying to get the information out there to everybody. David Dubai does a fantastic job with talking about the grand solar minimum. David and I talk about it quite regularly. David seems to believe that it will be 2024 or 2025 before it actually peaks, and I had told him at 2022. Might be willing to even move that up a little bit to 2021. I'm going to still hang with 2022 because I believe that that's going to be the apex of everything as far as food is concerned. I got word today that the fertilizer industry in the world is suffering the greatest collapse that it's probably had since they started. There's going to not be enough fertilizer for the entire world to have the fertilizer that it needs. A lot of farmers in a lot of other countries are already shutting it down. They're already saying that they are not going to be able to get the fertilizer, so they're not even going to try to plant this year. It's going to be very tough for us to get fertilized here in America in the very near future, especially phosphorus. Phosphorus is the number one fertilizer that we need. Phosphorus and ammonium. We used to get nitrate, but because of drug addicts, we can't. We have to get ammonium sulfate now. You can only get ammonium nitrate if you get it in a liquid form now. It can be sprayed in fields. You have to have permits to do that. But guys, fertilization in the near future is going to be a big issue. We're now facing a turning point in our nation as far as being able to have the ample amount of food that we're going to need to be able to feed this nation. That's one reason Wanda and I have made the decision to close down Deep South Homestead as far as the openness that we've had with our gates been open, allowing people to come in and visit, we can't take that risk anymore. Um, as a matter of fact, it's come to a point that we're beginning to even get nervous about some things that we've seen happening around us here, and we would rather even like mail people, UPS people, FedEx people, stuff like that. We're having them drop the stuff off way up the road at our gate up there, and we'll usually leave it sitting up there. As long as it's not raining, we'll leave it sitting up there for hours and hours before we even go pick it up. And I do apologize to those who've ordered from us and we haven't got your stuff out yet. Wanda and I are quarantined at this point. I don't know when that quarantine will lift because we are taking this serious. We have very close friends. We have very close friends. Let me add that has now come down with what's believed to be the virus, and we're watching them just dwindle, and it's breaking our heart to see the things that they're having to go through at this point, and we're taking it serious. And I hope that you all will too. One thing I do want to talk about while I'm on here is that we have not reached the apex of the Chinese virus yet. And the thing that's really beginning to disturb me now is that they're talking about literally letting everybody go back to work in a couple of weeks, maybe even in a week. And guys, we haven't even started seeing the apex of this thing yet. And if y'all hear noise in the background, that's Wanda next to me here. She's actually canning carrots. She's trying to get them in a canner while I'm doing this. And I don't know, you could close the window down, I reckon, and it might make it quieter. I don't know. It might. She's fixing to start another canner.
Last one for today.
The last canner for today. That's like...
Well, it's last canner.
It's our last canner of all of them.
Yes.
Yes. And one thing, guys, I want to say this. Our videos are about to change at Deep South Homestead. I'm going to tell you guys first, simply because of the hoarding and the hoarding bill that I told you about a while ago, we talked about in the beginning. Wanda and I will no longer be putting up the quantity of things that we harvest. We will probably show you videos of us actually picking some stuff. We may show you videos of us processing some stuff. We may show videos of us planting some stuff, this type of thing, guys. We may show you pictures of things, but from this point forward, we will not be showing the quantity of anything that we do just because it's not safe anymore. We don't want out there that we have X number of this or X number of that just simply because of these new bills that's being pushed through as to the way they could use it against us. Because in the near future, which this is going to happen, there's no way that it can't happen as far as I'm concerned, there's going to be a shortage of food. You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store and just get what you want. You can't do it now. If you go online right now and try to order anything from Amazon, Walmart, Food Giant, any of these things like this, lots of things are not even in stock anymore. And Wanda and I just experimented. We said, hey, we don't need anything, but let's just try it. We actually went on and we tried to order a few things, and it limited us to how many of anything we could have. And I told her, I said, you know what? Food rationing has begun, and people probably don't even realize it. So keep that in mind. Food rationing is the beginning of the controlling of food. We've actually been told that there are some places north of us here that the WIC facilities that gives food out for the needy, or young mothers and stuff like that, is even going to be shutting down. So, guys, if the food situation goes in the direction that I think it's going to go, then it's quite possible that the government could look up and say, you know what, anybody with X number of pints of this or X number of quarts of that, might be, would be classified as hoarding. So for that very reason, Wanda and I will not be putting up any more videos showing the quantities of anything that we've harvested. This year, the carrot harvest for us this year has been double of anything Deep South Homestead has ever done. Um, and it's literally, uh, I think it's for a reason. I think the Lord is preparing us for what's coming. Um, we we have ample amounts of everything in the ground, but what we're noticing, it doesn't matter how much we have planted. What we're noticing at this point is that we have insects already. We went to our tomato plants this morning, which is loaded with tomatoes. We've got like 30 tomatoes on one plant, and we'll probably show that in a video here in the next day or two. But on this plant this morning, we got off of it 5 stink bugs already locked together, mating, ready to start getting ready to lay eggs and hatch out. And it's only it's just March. We usually don't get those till the mid to end of April where we're at here. So the insects are coming in earlier. The mole crickets are cutting down our plants, coming and going. So we're beginning to see that the pestilence is probably at this point going to be our biggest issue on raising food for us to be able to eat. Now we harvested, like I said, we harvested our carrots. We lost probably out of the 4 beds of carrots, we probably lost, I'm going to say we probably lost about 50 or 60 big carrots to mice because the mice actually eat them off underground. And the tops were still sticking up green, and we pulled them up and the whole carrot was gone. So we realized that we had a mouse problem in the field out here. So now that all the carrots are out, hopefully that'll go away. We have tomatoes in their place. Guys, our prayer is that you will take everything serious. The food shortages are going to be real. COVID-19 is real. Like I've told y'all on some of our other videos, we have lots of subscribers who have come down with COVID-19. Every one of them that has contacted us has given us a day-by-day walkthrough of what they're experiencing. 100% of them have told us that this is not natural. They've had the flu, they've had viruses before, they've had all kinds of stuff. This is completely different from anything they've ever experienced in their life. So this is definitely something we believe is man-made because it's completely different. It's possible that it's God-made. Maybe God did this out of just, a part of the end of the age. I mean, it's part of the pestilence and the disease and the famines and all this kind of stuff that we're going to experience. Maybe that's part of it. But nevertheless, our prayer is that everyone will take this serious. Please grow your own food. I'm encouraging people right now to do vertical gardening because most of the people that we talk to have limited space. They're not blessed to have large acreage or anything to plant on. Most people have just backyards or a half an acre or something like this, or patios. And guys, we're encouraging people to grow vertical. The green stalks, the company called us and told us that thank you, because literally their orders are really going up because we keep mentioning green stalks, and people are excited. They're getting them. They're actually telling us, man, these things are so easy to use. They're actually growing food in them. It's making life for them fun and happy again because they don't feel so stressed out because they are being able to create something that's going to be able to give them food for the future in their small spaces, because you can actually put several of these things side by side and take up a very small space because they're vertical, and you can actually grow a lot of food in them, and people are just flocking to them. And we're thankful that this company is being able to bless people like that. Wanda and I, you don't pay any more because we mention this or anything like that. We just do it to help people out. Matter of fact, I think we've purchased, I believe we have two of them. We have one at the cabin, Wanda has one out here. It's been a blessing to us, and anything that's been a blessing to us, we try to pass on to everyone else. And we tried our best to talk and work with these companies so that we can help you guys make it through. I'm going to say the grand solar minimum. I'm not even going to call it COVID-19 because COVID-19 to me right now is a blinder. It's took our mind off of what we're actually fixing to face as far as the food shortages in this country. Um, and Susan, yes, I said green stalk. In the description down below, you will find a link to the green stalk, and they're fantastic. The guys, getting back to this, the grand solar minimum has not went away. It is still going to happen. I mean, it is a cyclical thing that just happens the big ones happen like every 400 years, and that's where we're at in a cycle. And when it does, you're going to see a lot more earthquakes. You're going to see volcanoes erupting. You're going to see places getting large amounts of snow, large amounts of rain, droughts, uh, extreme cold when they shouldn't be having cold. It's going to just keep hanging on. These kind of things are going to happen above a certain parallel. And we have to understand, if we live in that area, we've got to do whatever we have to do. If you need to buy a greenhouse like we bought, go to Grower Solutions. Use our promo code Deep South. Get you something. You get a 10% discount. I don't make anything off of it. We just, like I said, did that for y'all. Get you a greenhouse. It doesn't have to be a big one. It can be a small one. If you live above the 33rd parallel, get you a greenhouse because I'm almost positive you're going to need it in the future, especially during the winter months, to be able to grow something. And the smaller one is you can actually put certain lights in it and stuff like that. You can heat it, and you can keep food going during the winter months, even if it's nothing but leafy greens and lettuces and cabbages and broccolis and Brussels sprouts and carrots and any of the cool weather crops. You can grow them in these small greenhouses and be able to keep some food for your family to make your supplies be stretched a lot further than what they would be normally, and maybe keep you out of the grocery stores, away from the sickness. Because literally, guys, they're saying now behind the scenes, you're probably not seeing this out on national television or anything, but they're saying behind the scenes now that this thing is probably going to be a minimum of 18 months. That's a long time before it actually flattens out. And by then, look, guys, our own president even made the statement the other day. He said, yes, there's a lot of people going to die. He said, and I'm just using his words. He said, but 30 to 40,000 people die from the flu every year. We don't shut the economy down for the flu. So basically what he's telling everybody is, we're fixing to put everybody back to work regardless of COVID-19. If you get it, then you're just going to get it. If you die, you just die. The economy has to go first. I mean, basically, I'm paraphrasing just exactly what he said. And it's the bottom line. He said more people die in automobile accidents than have died from this virus, and we're shutting a nation down because of it. Guys, it's because this virus is different. It's not like the other things that we've faced. Yes, it's tragic that so many people die from the flu. He talked about we don't quarantine people who die from the flu. We don't shut cities down. We don't stop industry because of the flu. What they're saying is we've had enough of people being at home. Everybody's got to go back to work, and the ones that pass away are just going to have to pass away. I mean, the economy is more important, is what they're saying. I mean, I'm just being blunt. I'm giving you a personal opinion of the way I understood his speech when I heard it. As a matter of fact, he's probably live right now. Because if y'all listen to me, I told you the other day, They keep giving these briefings, and they keep making one a little later, a little later, and a little later, until eventually it's going to probably be one at 8 o'clock at night. It's going to be the big wahoo. This is what's going to happen, you know. This is where we are. I mean, they're leading up to something because they're doing these briefings every day. They're literally not springing it all on us all at once. They're like the frog in the boiling water thing. They're just gradually turning the flame up a little bit at a time, and gradually heating us up little by little. Or like the cattle thing I use, bringing them in from the pasture to the corral, down to the chute, into the head gate. You know, that they're just leading us in, and it concerns me that this is happening. But there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is prepare and do the best that I can, and have faith and believe that my Father above is going to take care of me and Wanda. And my prayer is that He will take care of you guys also, if you just have the faith and prepare, do the best you can do. Look out for your family. Look out for each other. Close your gates. Close your doors. Lock yourselves in. Do whatever you got to do to make it through this horrendous time that we're facing. And like I said in previous videos, they've got a noose around our neck because 99% of the nation is in debt up to our eyeballs. And if we don't go back to work, we lose our home, we lose our automobiles, we lose everything. It's the way they have us set up now. There's a few out there that's fortunate enough to have their homes paid for and everything, and they may own a vehicle, but like Wanda and I, they want the vehicle, they can come get it. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about credit at this point in my life. My credit's always been perfect. But if something happens, I'm okay, because I know what we're facing. And I agree with Country Homestead Preacher. It's time for pastors to start warning folks. That's one of the things that Wanda and I got a little perturbed with where we were going, is that, and we've been to 2 or 3 different churches, and the pastors didn't want to talk about end time events and how they tied in relation to what's going on today, because it would give people anxiety problems, and plus it would give them anxiety problems, and they just didn't want to talk about it. So they talked about Paul's missionary journeys, or David and the Bible, or something like that. I mean, or Abraham. They wanted to preach about those things. They didn't want to get down to brass tacks and didn't want to preach about end time events and how they tie in with what we're facing in the world today. It's just, guys, it's the age where they said that have people that they're wanting their ears tickled. And that's what, I hate to say it, but that's what most of the pastors in the world are doing today, is tickling people's ears. They're not sitting up in the pulpits telling them about the story of Gideon, where when the angel come to Gideon, what was Gideon doing? Gideon was threshing wheat at the olive press. Now, why was Gideon threshing wheat at the olive press? Because they had come into him at that point in their history in captivity. They had confiscated all the food. Gideon was not at the threshing floor threshing wheat, because he knew if he took it there, they was going to take it from him. He went to the wine press to thresh his wheat, because nobody would expect him there. At the time of the year, they weren't pressing olives. They weren't pressing grapes. They weren't doing anything like this. So he went there to thresh his wheat, thinking that he would be okay. But the angel of the Lord knew where he was. But even then, in the Bible, you don't hear preachers preaching about the fact that in captivity, they were taking their food from them, from house to house. These are the things that the Bible warns us about in the Old Testament. But the preachers today don't want to talk about it. They don't want to scare people into thinking that somebody might pay. They might come to your house. They might tell you, I want your food. That's why at Deep South Homestead, if y'all have paid attention over the last 3 years, I have constantly talked about a permaculture lifestyle. Yes, we have our gardens in rows out here, but at Deep South Homestead, I am implementing permaculture everywhere on our property. Just in the event if somebody comes and they destroy my crops, if they take my food, then the landscape around me on all of our property and even beyond our property, I have stuck trees, I have stuck things into the forests that are native things that literally will sustain us if something like this happens. Guys, this is what we have to do. This is, Solomon said, this is not new. There is nothing new under the sun. The thing that we're facing today has happened before. And man should go back and look in the Word of God and find where it talks about it. And he should glean from it and understand that God gives examples then. The reason he told us about Gideon threshing wheat at the wine press was simply because he wanted people to understand that even during that time, people were still sneaking around to do their food so that they would have food to eat. He's giving us a warning, and he's telling us how to do it. He's telling us, don't grow all your food out here in gardens, because that's what they're going to be looking for. If Gideon had been at the threshing floor, they'd have been looking for him there, because it was the time of year to thresh wheat. They would have took his wheat. If you grow all your food in a garden, they're going to take it if they want it, because they know where to look. But if it's in the landscape in the woods, they're not trained, or they don't have the manpower a lot of times to confiscate and to go into the woods looking for food. So guys, I done went a lot longer today than I needed to. It's getting late. I really need to get back out and get busy. But I wanted to come on because, guys, I actually make a statement if you go to my Patreon channel, and you'll see in one of the little comment sections over to the side that I make the comment that once we get 500 patrons that we'll do a live stream at least once a week. And I told Wanda, I said, you know what, we're at 400 and something, and we're not near 500, but I told her, I said, these people that we have here, they deserve to have a live stream every so often. And for me to be able to create this live stream, we have to shut down everything we're doing. We have to go to another channel that we have that's private, and we have to upload there, and we have to literally change all of our URLs, change all of our stream keys. We have to change everything to do these videos, and it takes us about 20 minutes to an hour sometimes to get all this done. But guys, we don't mind it when we have time. We like to come on here, and we like to be able to be a blessing to you guys. And what really thrills us is when y'all leave comments in the comment sections. And when I'm up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, have nothing else to do but just be awake, because that's what I am at that time of the morning, just awake. I get to sit and read all these comments, and I get to glean over them. It gives me time for the Lord to speak to me about some of the comments that I read. And sometimes y'all enlighten me and open my eyes with your thoughts to how you perceive the things that we're seeing in the world today. You mentioned some of the things that's going on in your area. That's a tremendous blessing to us here, because it lets us know that what's going on in the rest of the world around us right here, especially in the United States. Believe it or not, after my live stream this morning, we had people from Australia, people from the United Kingdom, everywhere contacting us through emails, telling us, Danny, it's not just you that's experiencing this glitch with your internet system. We're experiencing the same thing in our countries over here too. And I thought it was just a freak thing that was happening to just me. A lot of y'all said you didn't have a problem, but a lot of people emailed me and said, hey, the same thing is happening where we live at. We're having problems paying our bills. We're having problems doing this. We're having problems doing that. We can't pull up this. We can't pull up that. So that made us feel like there is something going on all over the world. So guys, I've been on here long enough. I can't even find my time. Oh yeah, I've been on here way too long. I need to jump off. I need to go get busy. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us, and for being faithful and supporting us. We really appreciate that. And when I come up with some more information that's a little startling to me or something, I'll jump on here, I'll share it with you, and let me know in the comments down below uh, how you feel about things, and we'll answer you. I usually give everybody a heart. If I really like what you said, I give you a heart because it really meant something to me. So I may not always comment because there's literally a lot of them. Not only on just this channel, but our YouTube channels have lots of comments. So we try to get them, plus all the emails we get. So we're going to jump off here, guys. Go get busy before dark comes because we're not far from it here. And yes, Hermit Hill Farm, the president, I figured, was going to go live. So that's one reason I want to get off, give y'all a chance to go listen to the president and not me. So guys, thank you for coming in here, and thank you for being a part of our afternoon. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.